There we go. Now I got
There's the recording in
notification.
progress.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was under the impression that Nick Curley had it set up to do that automatically.
He
So-
might have. It's like if you log in differently, it changes with settings. So it could be anything.
Yeah, well, this whole thing's been a little wonky to me. Anyway. And we do have 2 more people coming in. Yeah, thanks for that, Kat. All right, let's get started. My name is Brian Sweeney. I'm the president of the Highlandtown Community Association. And this is my first meeting of my new tenure in this role. So please bear with me as I am likely to make mistakes, but so far everything seems to be going pretty well. We have one presenter today. That will be Doug Kaufman. He is the realtor who is associated with the Ovenbird building, the warehouse building that will house Ovenbird and a few other businesses. This building is at the corner of Gough Street and it's Grundy. And Doug will be here shortly. He wanted to present early in the meeting due to some family obligations that he has. So he should be dropping in here any minute now. Jack, I see your note here regarding a neighbor who doesn't have the internet, is looking for someone who plants trees. Can you shoot me an email with that information? Shoot it to Highlandtown 21224@gmail, and I'll try to make some introductions in that regard. I'll have to do a little bit of research because Michael Dorsey had been kind of overseeing our greening committee, and he's no longer on our board. So I'll reach out to him and take it from there. But yeah, shoot me an email and I'll get on that. So since Doug is not here yet, let's start out and just get some recaps from our members of the board. Liz, do you want to review our finances for us?
Absolutely. So currently our account has $14,244.29 in it.
Okay. For members of the community who are not who are new or are kind of unaware, we have a fund of money that we spend on projects around the community. We like to raise money as much as we like to spend money. Obviously, we have to maintain the fund in order to, we have to remain solvent. But as a community association, this is our money. And if anybody in the neighborhood has any projects that they would like to get, on their block or larger projects, please reach out to us and, let us know what you have in mind. If it's something that is going to require we'll need to see a budget and some plans and have an idea of who's involved. If you're not accustomed to organizing your block, we can help with that, but it's going to be better for everybody if the people who are looking to start up a project on their block or participate in a project, if they can do some outreach and bring us something that's not necessarily in whole cloth, but somewhat formed with an idea, would be great, because this is our money and we want to engage our residents. So Kat, do you have something you can offer on the transportation side?
Yeah, although it's all work that you've been doing, Brian. So I think folks know we had a pedestrian safety walk in, I think, November. And so, we've had a lot of great engagement with Councilman Cohen's office and DOT. So Brian has really been submitting 311 requests that are sort of solicited through, this group or come from the community. And then following up with the councilman and DOT and everybody. And then I'm kind of logging them in this spreadsheet just to kind of track them. So I think I think currently it sounds like DOT isn't doing certain projects because of the weather. I know there's certain things they can't do if it's below 40 degrees. But I think to say that perhaps in the spring, we'll see some movement on these projects. So I think the biggest ones that we've submitted requests for are automated traffic violation enforcement system. That's looking for like speed cameras at Eastern and Elwood. I could go on, but I think you all know how rough that intersection is. And then the other big request, I think, is a traffic calming study. Would go from Conkling to Grundy and Southeast Eaton from Bank to Lombard. And then the others are sort of, repainting, double-sided stop signs, that type of thing. But I think those are like the bigger projects there. So I'll pause and see if there are questions. And then I have another announcement on another topic. BJ, is your hand up? Oh, I think you're muted, sorry. Brian got power hungry.
No, I think she has the power to unmute herself.
It's still, you should be able to, sorry.
I got it. We had a traffic study done here on this block between, what is that? You know what it is, between this and Pratt. And they came out last year and put up the speed cameras and the whole bit. I have been emailing them, and Danielle McCrae's office is involved. Nobody will give me the results of the speed study. They came and took it down, and we still have cars getting hit. I really just, Brian was on the email also. I emailed just on Friday. It said, do we have an update on this? This is over a year old now from the traffic study. So they came out and they did it, but they haven't given us a result. And you know what, to be honest, I swear when they had those things up that everybody went slower. And as soon as they took them down, everybody flew again. So what do we do about that?
So I think if you have, so Brian, and it sounds like you have that info, but if we have the like the 311 request number or like any identifying info, I think the next move, what we've been doing is kind of following up with, like I said, Councilman Cohen, DOT, we could loop Delegate Lewis in. She's been really supportive, and this is a priority for her as well. So those would be my thoughts.
Yeah, this is Danielle McCrae's district right here,
right.
our street. But she's been involved with it too, but we're not getting anything back from Damien or Shirley or the DOT or anything. So I'm just going to keep emailing and see what we get.
I can follow up with the delegate's office as well. I think, I'm happy to do that. If you think it would
forward you the emails.
Yes, that would be perfect. I'll pop my email in the chat. We'll just try all avenues. I mean, I'll share that Molly McCullough, who I can't tell if she's on, but made a request for a light here in the park, and we heard from Councilman Cohen's office that that it's a BCRP issue in this instance, and they're not getting any traction. So I don't know what's happening. I can't speak for what's happening at the city, but all we can do is kind of follow up and log these attempts. So I'll pop my email in the chat, and that would be great. And then if anybody wants to reach out with requests you've made or requests that you would like to make, we can partner on that.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And then on a maybe lighter topic, I don't know if anyone from Creative Alliance is here. I'm on the board of Friends of Patterson Park as well, so I just want to share the Kite Fest is coming up on April 2nd, and I'll pop a link in the chat. I think we'll have another meeting until then, but just to get it on folks' calendars. So that's all I got. Thank you.
All right. I am trying to mute all. I have a new participant and I don't know who it is, Francis. All right, muting all participants and allowing all to unmute themselves as I did before. As far as the traffic study thing goes, I submitted, there's a form when you want traffic calming, and I submitted a form kind of springboarding on BJ's work from last year. And then Josh had reached out to me and indicated that there was a lot of speeding on Goff Street, which is, you know, towards the school. It's a long run from Conkling Street down to Eaton. And, you know, it's downhill and people tend to drive fast when they have good long sight lines, and particularly when they're going downhill. So I specifically asked for traffic calming study in the areas surrounding the school, like in all the blocks and in one full block in each direction. In addition to that, and I specifically use language that's related to the Safe Routes to School program, which is it's a national program to make neighborhoods and areas where kids walk to school safer. And I'm kind of leaning on that language, Safe Routes to School, instead of just asking for a traffic study, because what happens with a traffic study is the traffic engineers use what they refer to as the 85th percentile to determine what the average speed is. And that means that if 85% of the cars are driving below a certain speed, then that is considered the maximum speed, and that additional 15% of drivers are outliers and they don't really count to the cause. So what happens a lot of times is when they do traffic studies, they'll say, well, your 85th percentile speed is, you know, 31 miles an hour, 29 miles an hour, or something like that, when we all recognize that all it takes is that one car, that one guy that's in the 15%, to be doing something foolish and somebody gets hurt. So I'm trying to steer the language towards the Safe Routes to School whenever it's appropriate. And in that case, it's appropriate. So when you're talking with Danielle McCrae, for example, or Robin Lewis, use that language, please. Safe Routes to School, they will know it. So I think maybe that's a way to get past the 85th percentile hurdle. Anybody else have anything on traffic?
Well, I just remember the Inspire, I think it's the Department of Planning, Inspire program presented here several months ago. I don't have time anymore. But it seemed to me that had a component related to pedestrian safety, at least around school zones. So I was just thinking, I noticed your Safe Routes to School, Brian, and that's what made me think like, oh yeah, that sounds like a thing. And then I went back and looked at Inspire, and it is broader than just pedestrian safety, but I don't know if there's anything to follow up on there. Maybe I could follow up with the folks who presented to us and see if there's anything that can be done.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Cafe lights. Vanessa, do you have anything to offer on that?
Sure. We still have money available, so you can apply online to get pre-approved to use funds to do some cafe light projects. The application is on our website. And then once you complete the project, you would submit your documentation for reimbursement. So it's a two-step process. You need to get your application in for that pre-approval and then complete the project and then submit your documentation for the reimbursement. But there's definitely still money left. So if you're interested in doing some cafe lights in your block, definitely apply. That's it.
All right. And for people who've not heard this before, the Highlandtown Community Association has a small fund that offers up to $400 for most installation groups. It's actually $100 a house up to 4 houses, but it goes a long way towards offsetting some costs. Additionally, I made up some forms when I did my block that kind of help to track the organization on your block, because that's an awful lot of stuff to keep in your head when you're trying to reach out to, a dozen neighbors and get something going. Who said what, who was interested, who was not, who you tried to reach and doesn't respond, and that kind of thing. So I have kind of generic forms that I've shared with people all over Southeast Baltimore for them to use. And I have been referring people to Chris Broughton, who has done most of the installations around Southeast Baltimore. He's done a great job. He makes it easy. He gives you Home Depot part numbers and Amazon part numbers, and he really, really does make it easy. My understanding is that he is quite backed up already, and I don't know whether he's been installing through the winter or not, but we can look into finding some other people for referrals. But Chris has made it easy, and the forms can help you organize your block. So reach out to me at highlandtown21224@gmail.com if you want me to share any of that information with you. I'm happy to do so. BJ?
You're on mute, BJ.
Okay, I Google translated the forms that you sent me into Spanish. So I was able to give it to my neighbors on our street, and they had to submit it to their landlords. But I do have copies in Spanish of the same form and the same instructions that you provided. So if anybody wants those, I have those.
Okay. It might not be a bad idea to ask somebody, Andy, Mark, to review. Is that what you're offering, Mark? Can you email the Spanish forms to Mark for some proofreading? Because Google Translate does a decent job, but not great,
Okay, I will.
All right. Thanks, BJ.
Sure. Mute me.
Mute you. You have the power.
Oh, that's right.
You're down. It's done. All right. And I'm lowering your hand too. All right. Events. Keith, do you want to offer up any news on the basement bar tour?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. First things first, it is my unfortunate duty to have to inform you that the wine festival will not be occurring this year. I think that may have been a little more obvious considering there was no correspondence or anything about it. But after after thinking about it and kind of working through all the different options, it just doesn't look like it's going to be entirely doable the way that we like to do things. So we're going to move on from that, and hopefully we're going to have better luck next year. The basement bar tour is still kind of all steam ahead, or full steam ahead. We're obviously pretty far away from November at this point, but the plan is to kind of start putting things together over the summer, which is what we usually do, and move forward with it. Worst case scenario, if things do kind of dip back into the red regarding COVID or anything like that, we will have to pull back, but hopefully that won't be the case. So we're going to move forward as planned for now. On top of that, we'd also like to offer that if anyone out there has any ideas for events or anything of that nature, to please let us know. Or if you know someone that has an idea for something, or whether it's a block party, something as like low key as that, let us know. Shoot us an email at highlandtown21224@gmail.com with any ideas you might have, and we'll get back to you. And that's about all I got, I think, unless I'm leaving anything out.
I don't think so. Thanks, Keith.
No problem.
I'm going to mute you now. All right. So I was going to, for people who don't know, the Highlandtown Community Association has a community garden. It is at 25 South Conkling Street. That's South Conkling between Baltimore Street and Lombard Street. The person who is in charge of the garden is Erin Curley. She is the wife of Highlandtown board member Nick Curley, former president Nick Curley. I don't have anything new to report on that, but we are coming up on gardening season, and if anybody is interested in having a plot, I don't know what's available. That would be an Erin question. But I'm happy to refer any inquiries or anything to her. Also, there are lots of volunteer opportunities at the garden. Weeds grow faster than vegetables do. So there's often work there. You know, the people who have the plots in the garden will maintain their own plots, obviously, but there's an awful lot of other green space around there that needs maintaining. There's been grass to cut in the past. There's, you know, things that climb all over the fencing and need to be maintained. So there will be opportunities for volunteers to work at the garden as well, and we'll try to let everybody know as they arise. I will ask Erin to make sure that she gets any inquiry or any opportunities up on both Facebook and probably on the website also, if they're on the calendar, if there's something coming up. But there's lots of opportunities to work down there, and it's, you know, it's always a good time, and it often winds up with food and or drinks. And you know, it's a good way to meet your neighbors. So keep an eye out for that moving forward. Regarding security, Nick Curley handles a lot of the security duties in the neighborhood. Nick and I kind of trade off with that hat. In the future, I'm going to ask Nick to provide some kind of an update on it, but I know he and Aaron are traveling from somewhere today, and it was doubtful whether they were going to make it in time for the meeting tonight. So he could pop in, but I'm going to chime in anyway. And just let it be known that the Highlandtown Community Association has a weekly cop walk. We meet every Tuesday, more or less, weather permitting, at the intersection of Gough Street and South Conkling Street, right outside the door of Highlandtown Gallery. We meet at 7 o'clock. The police department sends an officer, sometimes two, sometimes more. And, you know, we will walk anywhere in the neighborhood anybody has any concerns, and we will, you know, have a dialogue with the police officer. And sometimes we're able to have a police officer actually address somebody who we feel is having some issues. They can do well check visits on homes, and, you know, they can do well check visits if we believe that there is somebody squatting in a vacant home. So it's important for us to all kind of get out there and keep an eye on things. And it's also a great way to meet your neighbors. I mean, to be honest, when I moved to Highlandtown, I was not engaged with the community association, and I knew they were doing these walks, and I started going on the cop walks, and that's almost 12 years ago, and I've been on 90% of them for 12 years. So it's a great way to meet your neighbors, I guess is my point. So hope you'll consider joining us. Another issue is, I'll touch on this. Every year we have access to 4 dumpsters from the city. They will provide dumpsters for us on days that they're available. And then there's also mayor's cleanups and things of the sort that are initiated by City Hall. And, you know, people can come out and help clean up their blocks, and they can, you know, when there's a dumpster out there, they can also clean out their basements and throw things in the dumpster, you know, with some limitations, obviously, regarding, you know, car batteries and toxic chemicals and things of the sort. So when we have a date scheduled for that, we'll let everybody know, but it's a great opportunity for people to come out and volunteer. Towards that end, Councilman Cohen has been compiling a list of leaders, community presidents, vice presidents, other active people who are engaged in the neighborhood, for all of us to refer to. And I had suggested that they also list, make a category on that same list for people who are interested in volunteering. So like an organization. I had Joe DeCito from the Masons Lodge on Conkling Street reach out to me last week, and he said that, you know, keep them informed because they would like to bring people out when we have volunteer opportunities, whether it's weeding at the garden or whether it's, picking up trash in an alley. It's going to be that kind of thing. I saw that list was released today and it did not yet have the volunteers on it, but I'm going to press them a little bit more for that also so that we have easy access to it and we can actually, not just depend on people from in the neighborhood. If there's churches in the community or something of the sort, the Masons, and they want to get involved, we want to have them involved. Somebody reached out to me from Abbott Church a few weeks ago and said they would like to volunteer for things. So we're going to try to compile a list, preferably a Southeast Baltimore list, not just a Highlandtown list, so that everybody can kind of draw from it. But if you have a cleanup that you want to do on your block, we can help you. We can provide some funds for a block party that's related to it to help get your neighbors involved. So again, if you have a project that you want to see on your block or wider, please reach out. Is Nick Frazone? Nick is here. Nick and or John Eddie, do you have something that you'd like to offer regarding social media?
Probably next meeting for me.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to just say, make everyone aware that we have a website. It's highlandtown.com. Nick does most of the social media stuff, and I do the more permanent stuff that tends to exist longer. So out there is, all about us. What are hot topics that are happening now? What are our events? What sort of resources are available in the community, in Highlandtown, and in the city, and even the state? We put up information about that. Anyone's welcome to help us fill that out further, that anything's needed. We also have lists of who's on the board, what are our minute meetings, what are our financial records, just sort of permanent stuff that every organization should have.
Good. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
All right, so our presenter has arrived. Before I hand it over to Doug, I am just going to offer some open floor time. If there's anyone attending who would like to contribute to the meeting, now is your chance.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to add a little bit to the social media thing. So Nick does a really good job moderating the Highlandtown Facebook group, but I'm also always available to do translations from English to Spanish or the other way around for that group if needed.
Good. Thank you, Jill. Natalie?
No, I'm just applauding. Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking out, guys. Thank you for all your efforts.
Oh, thank you. All right, I see no more hands, so Doug, you're up.
Thank you very much. I apologize, everybody, for being late. I got back today from being out of town, and between dinner and bedtime, bath time, and all the rest of that, I completely forgot about this. My apologies. Thanks for accommodating me. The reason I'm here, and Brian, I don't know if you've already introduced it, but I'm talking about the building at the corner of Goff and Grundy, 3925 Goff Street, also 310 Grundy. It's the building, used to be way back when a Roberts Discount Furniture Warehouse building with a little bit of retail in there. It was mostly truthfully a dilapidated, deferred maintenance, Swiss cheese roof of a building that was purchased by an investor named Dr. Selvin Passon and his son Marty Passon a few years back before the pandemic. We have been going through a redevelopment. I'm just a broker of the agent on the property. I'm not one of the owners, one of the developers, but just to provide an update on what's going on. So as I think you all know, last summer we signed a lease with Ovenbird Bakery. They're taking about 9,100 square feet of the 29,000 square foot building. Their construction, their build out is in process. I would suspect that they will be open this summer. And we may need every day up until Labor Day to make that happen, but we're working, all sides are working very hard to make that happen. The 9,100 square foot will be most of that space is a production bakery for them. And then they're going to have in the front of it, I'm not exactly sure the exact square footage, but it's probably about 2,000 square feet as a cafe on the front of the space facing Grundy. What you may notice if you drive by, the old loading dock roll-up doors have been removed. We're putting in glass accordion, and two of them we're putting like glass accordion style roll-up doors. So it'll be glass during the day, but on the nice weather days, they can roll them up and let some natural air come through as well, if they like, which we're really excited about. They're building out a new entrance in the interior. The entrance for that space, the main entrance will be at the corner of Grundy and Chessel Place. And we're in the process of getting windows put in there and redoing that entire entrance. It's not going to look anything like what it was for the last however many decades. So they're going to be moving in the summer. Behind their space on the back of it, on Chessel Place, Barcoding, who redeveloped the building right next door, the old IC Isaacs building, has taken a couple thousand square feet just for some storage space for themselves. Nothing, to be perfectly blunt, very exciting from a neighborhood perspective. They just needed some extra room, and we were able to accommodate them. And then on the other side of the building facing Gulf Street, on the westernmost portion, the one closest to Eaton Street, we're going to be putting in a group there. It's a furniture manufacturer called Billy Baldwin Studios. They're relocating from New Jersey. It's like custom made furniture that really they sell direct to the design community for their clientele. The husband, wife, whose business it is, actually it's really her business, I think, and he helps her out. She bought the rights. Billy Baldwin was a great designer back, I think, like in the 50s or something like that. And she bought the development rights back in the 80s and has been managing that entity, if you will, ever since then. So we're really excited to have them come in. We're not sure how much space they're going to be. They signed a lease for 3,000 square feet, but they may need a little bit more. So we're trying to see if literally we can move some walls for them. Next to them, we have a proposal out. I can't say who it is yet. We're not quite there, but we have a proposal out to a local company who would come in and do a really cool hybrid use space. And here comes my son, a hybrid use space. And some of it would be office space, but some of it would be much more creative space for that particular company. Again, I can't say exactly who that group is just yet. I apologize. They're moving a lot slower than we would like, and so hopefully, knowing this group, it may take at least 2 more months to be able to figure out if they're going to be coming in, and then see Pastor Mark, and then we're going to have. And then at that point, we'll probably have about another, depending on how all the spaces translate out, we may have about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet left, which will be on the corner of Gulf and Grundy Street. It's a space that will be, we think, the signature space in the building. And we have some different groups we're talking to. No one, for those of you who know me, I don't talk about prospects very, 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 very early on. I don't talk about them until I think there's a real chance that something may happen. I just don't want to waste anybody's time. So we have a lot of different groups we're talking to, but nobody I think is serious enough and far along enough to bring it to the community and let you know what their plans are. But I'm happy to come back at that time. You'll probably also notice the new thin brick, the gray brick facade on Gulf and Grundy Streets. It's also wrapping the corner a little bit on Chessel Place. And you probably noticed that. And then, of course, the parking lot across Grundy Street, which is under construction. We were making, well, slower than we would like, but we were making some headway. And then I think they found another tank in the ground that they didn't know was there. So they had to stop the process, excavate that, test the soil, send that off for samples, get the review of the samples, and then send it off to MDE, Maryland Department of the Environment, to find out if there's anything else that they needed to do on that. So that's why we've essentially stalled and lost a lot of time over the winter. The weather hasn't been ideal as well, but that should be finished this summer as well. It'll be an 85-car parking lot. It'll be gated, fenced, landscaped, lit, and it will be for the use of the tenants and the visitors of that building. So if you're coming to the bakery and you want to go grab a bagel or a sandwich or something of that nature, you can park there for free, grab a little ticket, run over there. They'll give you a validation ticket. And when you leave, just scan both and they'll be out of there and for free. Trying to think. That's all that's going on in my building. If there's anything else I can help with, I'm a commercial real estate agent, and I may not know everything going on. In fact, I know I don't know everything that's going on. But if there's anything else that you know about, please share. If there's anything else you want me to find out about, I'm happy to make some calls on your behalf as well. Are there any questions? Actually, I guess there were some chats. I don't know if there's anything in there for me. Oh, so Natalie, thank you very much. They are spending a lot of money. That parking lot, when it's finished, between acquiring the property and building it, they're going to probably spend almost $2 million. And Vanessa, I agree with you, Vanessa, because I think you gasped appropriately when you heard that number. That is absolutely right. That is a huge number. So anyway, and the other thing is, because you guys had asked us about this, barcoding around their building has a lot of really good cameras on the street. And the building owner on this one is going to be working with barcoding to have a similar system. So actually, both the barcoding tenant or both barcoding company and the landlord at the Golf Grundy building will be able to actually tap into each other's system. If anything should happen, they can check that out. And it's the same developer who's developing this building also owns the old HS Hike and Laundromat building that was on Chestnut Place up to Eaton. It was 307 South Eaton that had sat mostly vacant and dilapidated for a couple of decades. It gone up to auction a handful of times. He moved one of his companies into that building, completely renovated it, built it up to the nines as well. So his cameras all over the place there. Because of Ovenbird Cafe, we are still looking to try to get a liquor license for the property. I'm not going to, I don't believe there's any politicians on the call, so I can say this very truthfully. So we were trying to woo DePasquale's to stay in the neighborhood in that building. We tried very hard. We put an extremely aggressive proposal in front of Joe. We lost out. We understand why we lost out. He got a good deal to go down the street. But as we were going through the process to lure him, we were also trying to get a liquor license for the building. We were very clear with you all, with the school, with the politicians to say it's not predicated on DePasquale's, because we would like to have some kind of a food use for the neighborhood, not a bar, not a tavern, not any of those kind of places, but something more for the community. And everyone was like, that's great, as long as you're going to be up to your word. And obviously we plan on doing that. So we went through the process through the state, through the General Assembly, had a liquor license, had that law pass as part of a larger liquor license bill for Baltimore City. And then when DePasquale's announced or needed a liquor license for their new location, some very thoughtful person in Annapolis said, oh, well, they don't need DePasquale's liquor license at Golf and Grundy Street. So they nullified that portion of the law without notifying us. So we're going back to the General Assembly this winter to do it all over again. And then once we do that, then we have to come back to the city and go forward for the formal process with the city. But again, it's Ovenbird Bakery. So you can go in there and have a glass of wine with lunch or, something, with your bagel, whatever it might be. And so that's kind of the use that we're envisioning for the property. We've been proposed, certainly bar, tavern type operators have approached us, and we've said a very quick no every single time. And we're not going to change that. Yes, Irish coffee too, sure. Why not? I don't drink coffee, but I'm sure that's delicious. Yes, it is a rough mess. I apologize. And okay, yes. Any other questions? Hi, Sarah.
Well, I just want to offer up that I don't know how much dialogue you have with the people doing the construction, but I did hear that the trucks were blocking things up pretty severely around the parking lot and creating some problems. And, I'm not around to see it. It's hearsay to me, but I'm not, I live on the other side of the neighborhood and I'm not around during the day.
So there's 3 construction projects going on. Ours by far. So the people who are doing our project, not all of them, but some of them are actually parking inside the building. So the cars that you're finding on the street. So as you know, the school is going through a massive expansion and renovation. So they have a ton of vehicles out there for that. And then Workshop Development is building the new apartment building on Bank Street. So then they also have construction. I don't know who's blocking what, but Brian, here, I'll put in my chat, I'll put my cell phone number. If someone's having a problem for access, call me, text me, let me know. I'll try to call the general contractor, and if it's them, I'll have them move it. If it's not them, he's not going to do anything. I'm just going to tell you very
Well,
I
straight up.
think it's the apartment building. I don't,
It is.
I think it's the apartment building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between the apartment building, like, so of those three, I live on the corner of Golf and Fagley, so I'm literally right, like, your building is directly behind the houses across the street from me. And of all those construction projects happening at the same time, yours is by far the most convenient and easy to deal with. Between the school, especially between the school, which is on the other side of me, and the apartment complex. Your guys are not causing any problems. I am home during the day. I work from home, and I'm
Okay.
consistently out and around that area. So you're getting no complaints from our side of things.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
I haven't been by there in about a week or so, but we're going to be hopefully putting in a ramp for the Ovenbird Bakery soon for the ADA access. Because you'll see, like, the thin brick doesn't come all the way down in that corner, and so hopefully the ramp.
I was wondering why that was the case. It
Yeah,
just
the
seemed
ramp's
like a
gonna be
really
going there.
bizarre design choice.
It's very avant-garde. No, it's just for the ramp.
Good. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Two things. One, I love the thin brick and the color of it, and I think it's going to look fantastic.
That's
Is
beautiful.
that going to wrap all the way around on Golf or no?
No, it's going to be all along Golf. It's going to be all along Grundy, and it's just wrapping a corner on Chesil. So it goes back. Don't hold me this 20 feet, something of that nature, up Chesil Place.
Yeah, but all of the
I
street
think
side
the plan-
exposure.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
And
but
on the
even-
back side,
Even
sorry?
on Chesil and the alley there, the entire building has been painted. Like, it's all been painted and the walls have been treated, and it looks good.
thank you.
Like, even in the spots where the brick hasn't gone up.
Yeah, we tried to, it's funny, the landlord, look, the guy's worth a ton of cash, and he's gonna lose money on the building, to be perfectly blunt, at the end of the day, but he did a lot of development down in Canton, like he did North Shore, he did the moorings, he did Lighthouse Point. So, he's done very well for himself, and he just really likes the Southeast and wants to keep doing things. Obviously, Canton's kind of finished, if you will, and it's too expensive, so he sees this great opportunity in Highlandtown, and he wants to do it right. For instance, the sidewalks, I mean, he keeps telling us he wants to dig up the sidewalks all the way around the building and redo them, just because he wants everything to look fantastic. Now, I may come back in 3 months and he said, okay, wait a minute, I really did overspend and everything, I'm not doing it, but that's what I'm hoping for.
I support him in all of these endeavors.
And Natalie asked about Black Acres Roastery. I would not say that I was working with them. I did talk to Travis several times, if you know them. I mean, I'm very impressed with their business and what they're doing. And we did talk to them about coming to the building, and back in the summer, and Travis was getting married in September, and there was a lot of things going on in his business. And he was basically like, I can't even think about this. Actually, he had signed a lease for that other building up on Golf Street, the old contractor building. He had signed a lease there. I did not work with him on that. I would never have let someone sign a lease that was so poorly written, to the landlord's advantage. And I did give him some advice about the lease and some things he might think about. I guess he was able to get out of that lease, fortunately, because that was just a terrible situation. But no, he is not one of the groups that we're actively talking to come to the building, because he doesn't want to, not because we don't want him. We would love to have him in the building. And he just, I feel very spurned.
So
I think
based
I'm
on that
excited for
statement, does that mean that currently nothing is, I mean, they've completely refinished that other building that you were just referring to up on Golf, like a little further up on Golf and Eaton. So is nothing going in there now?
So I talked to the broker. They have a new broker who's handling it. What's his name? From Green Door Properties. The name's is evaporating from my mind. I apologize. But he said, it's available for lease. It's available for sale. A couple of years ago, before the renovation, I think they were trying to get $550,000 for the building. They did put some money into it. They're now asking, I think, $1.25 million for the 8,000 square foot building. I don't They have, I think the apartment is rented upstairs in the back, but I don't think anything else has happened on the rear. Not aware of any tenant or sign for that space. It's not my
Thank you.
listing.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing what you know.
Sure. Happy to help any way I can.
Anybody else have questions for Doug? Well, I can just say that I am very excited about Ovenbird. I don't often go out for, coffee and other things, but I did pop in there and had what was possibly the best everything bagel I've ever had. So
Try the spicy fennel.
spicy fennel.
You did not know you needed a spicy fennel bagel in your life, but I'm telling you, you need a spicy fennel bagel in your life. It is fantastic. And I'm Jewish, like I'm telling you.
Where is this located, Doug?
So right now they're in Little Italy. They're in a little place on Exeter and I forget the cross street actually. It's a little place. You can't even go inside, obviously, but it's a very tiny little place. They are going to come and bring all of their manufacturing over to Gough Street, keep their little location in Little Italy, and open a cafe on Gough Street. And they're also going to be one of the new vendors going into Lexington Market.
Oh, nice.
And then the reason they need such a large production area is they're going to sell their breads and pastries or whatever else out to as catering or supply for other restaurants. Oh, and from a bagel perspective, there used to be a really good bagel place that would bring in Goldberg's Bagels in Upper Fells Point, a place called Van Gogh Cafe, but that place is under contract to be sold. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be around. I don't think the new operator is going to keep anything having to do with Van Gogh Cafe.
All right, well, bagels it is. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And if anyone knows Travis, tell him to come back to our building. We would love for him to come in there. Please.
I don't know him, but I have had contact with him. I'll dig through my records and see if I can't find something for him.
He's a good guy. They're doing some. They're also going to be at the new Lexington Market, and so they're really expanding, and it's really exciting to see what they're doing. All right, with that, I am going to go read some Winnie the Pooh to my son.
Good, excellent, good job.
Good night, Doug. Thank you.
Really
Thank you for
appreciate
your help.
the info.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye
All
now.
right, Doug, bye. Natalie, do you have a hand up?
No, I keep applauding.
You're applauding.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, that is the end of everything that I've got scheduled. Jack, do you have something? Or you're just waving to the collective. He's just waving to the collective. All right, well, if anybody has anything, put your hand up right now or I'll see you next month. Anyone? All right, everyone. Well, thanks for coming. And hopefully next month, I'm going to see if I can't get some people in from the Bank Street Apartments to give us an update on what's going on over there. So stay tuned. So thanks for coming and have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you. See you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night. Bye.